Hi guys, welcome back to another Hugh Jeffries video. In this video, I'll be trying to repair what's left of this iPhone 11. Every centimeter of glass is cracked, the display has been obliterated with 80% of the top layer missing. Obviously the last owner did a little more than just drop it, but what exactly, I don't know. I purchased it online in its current condition. The seller apparently got it amongst a box of things purchased at a garage sale. So there's no telling what really happened to this phone, so you'll have to take a guess. Opening the parcel, we can see what I got. Despite the phone, the only other thing included was the horrible smell of battery acid. This phone has a serious wobble, and it's not just a camera bump. The lower section is all pushed outward. The impact seems to have been from a sharp blade that's collided with the front of the phone. Could this be a lawnmower incident? The big question is, will it still power on? Plugging in a voltage meter, you can see the phone isn't drawing a lot of power, but still the backlight lit up. Based on the way it was acting, I'd say it was on the battery flat screen. Exterior wise, this phone will need a complete overhaul, along with a new battery. To begin, I'll remove the two Apple pentalobe security screws from the bottom of the device. From here, what's left of the screen can be pried off. Usually I'd heat the display and carefully remove it using a suction cup, but I don't need to be careful with this one, so I can use a metal tool to get things started. Then, a few plastic picks can be worked around the perimeter like usual to separate the display from the housing. Lifting the screen up to the right side reveals the internals of the iPhone 11. Well, I found out why this phone smells like battery acid. The cuts to the display have gone through the glass and metal layers of the screen and into the battery. Along with that, the liquid indicators are red and the front camera looks a little odd. I also found a fingerprint. Is that from a worker who assembled this, or has someone attempted to get this phone working again? If you find a very damaged phone that's been opened, it's not a good sign, as someone probably failed to get it working. Before investing the time into repairing this phone, I want to test if it works. To do that, I'll attach a new display and battery. The battery connector position on the iPhone 11 does almost suggest that you should connect the battery before the display, but ensure you don't do that, as you can short out the phone, destroying it in the process. Pressing the power button, the phone sprung to life. I can tell by the date this phone has been out of action since the 9th of November. That's over 10 months. But now that we know the phone powers on and seems to be working, we can continue with the repair. We don't need the new display and battery for a while, so they can be put aside. Given the extent of the damage, I'll have to transplant the usable components into a new housing. Starting with the logic board, this is the most integral part, forming the brain of the phone. There are a lot of flex cables to detach, some of which are a little hard to get to given the cramped space. Once everything's detached, it can be lifted up and out of the phone. Next, both the rear and front cameras can be removed. It's important that the front camera is not damaged during its removal, as it's one of Apple's many software-paired parts. Any replacement will break Face ID. After they're out, there's a couple of antennas that I'll also need to detach. I won't need to remove everything, as the replacement housing comes with some of the very small parts already installed. Despite this, the process is still incredibly involved, with the amount of varying screws not helping. The iPhone uses a total of 4 screw heads, so you have to keep changing out your screwdriver bits as you go along. Down at the lower section, we can work on getting the SIM reader out. Despite only being a single SIM phone, you can buy replacement SIM readers giving you dual physical SIM capability. Next, I can remove the fasteners holding the large metal bracket in place before proceeding to take out the vibration motor and speaker. Now we are just left with the charging port. Of course, it's held in with more screws that'll need to come out prior to its removal. And with that, we've disassembled the iPhone 11 as far as we need to. With so many different screws, it's important that they're all organized so I know where to put them back when we reassemble. I've chosen this mint green color for our new housing. They were out of stock of the black one, and I thought this one looked better anyway. As you can see, it's already got a few parts installed. I purchased this as a used Apple original that had been pulled from a phone, but that's far from the truth. For starters, the wireless charging coil is loose. Lifting it out, you can see it's been attached using thin strips of adhesive. This isn't how Apple sticks this piece into place. The coil itself also has some damage. One of the wire strands has been pulled loose. Yet another thing I'll need to fix with this new housing. I'll glue the wireless charger back in place using some liquid adhesive, which for this application will work great. While I'm at it, I'll properly glue the upper antenna. It's even complete with strange writing, if you needed any more reasons to know this isn't a real Apple housing. It's just an aftermarket housing with some used or aftermarket parts thrown in it. I don't care that it's aftermarket, after all Apple won't sell you a replacement housing anyway. It's just misleading advertising. If you take your iPhone with a cracked glass back into Apple, the only repair option they offer is to take the display off and swap the screen onto a complete new phone, not even transferring the logic board. That's because the glue used to hold the rear glass on is so strong you need lasers to remove it. The complexity of these repairs doesn't just impact third-party repair, but also Apple's own offerings. Meaning, if you damage the glass on the back of your iPhone, the repair cost is almost the price of a new phone, because essentially that's what Apple gives you. I missed a standoff screw from the old housing, so I removed it and put it in place where it was needed. Once the charging port assembly is back in place, it's time to remove some plastic protective pieces that cover the display brackets from the old housing and transfer them into the new one. Following that, the SIM reader can be attached before proceeding up to the top of the phone where I can attach one bracket followed by two antennas. One of the display brackets is mangled and has a piece of metal jutting out, so I need to swap it with one from the original housing. I purchased this mint green housing with some of the parts already installed to save me some time, but I've actually spent more time fixing stupid issues like this. It's finally come time to get the logic board back into place. It requires quite a bit of fiddling to get seated without trapping any flex cables. The upper metal bracket must also be attached prior to it being fully seated. Once in place, I can begin reattaching the flex cables and screwing in the two metal brackets. Proceeding, I can reinstall the Face ID module and connect its two cables. To prevent getting any dust between the cameras and the lens, I'll blow some air to free any dust before installing the two cameras. Switching things up a bit, it's time to prep the new display for installation. To do this, I'll first need to remove the old earpiece cable, which also houses the proximity sensor and a microphone. Again, this is paired to the phone, so a replacement cable will break Face ID. Once removed from the old screen, it's time to attach it to our new LCD. This one is a refurbished panel, meaning the LCD is original but the glass has been replaced. This is a way to recycle old cracked screens and results in getting the best replacement display. I'll position the earpiece cable and fasten it into place. Back at the phone, I'll get the new battery installed. To make sure the alignment of the cable is correct, you can plug in the battery before sticking it down. Just be sure to unplug it again before connecting the display. I like to use a handy tool that plugs into the charger to hold the screen in place while I connect its cables and brackets. Oddly, the replacement housing already came with new display adhesive installed, so I didn't have to apply any. Once the screen is attached, I can clean off any dust and fingerprints before sealing the display down to the new housing. With that, I can reinstall the SIM card tray and the 2 pentalobe screws into the bottom of the iPhone. I can then run the phone through a factory reset and panic when I see the iPhone locked to owner screen. Yeah, right, I'm the owner and this phone isn't locked. Imagine all that effort and Apple's software bricks the phone. The phone already activated on my computer, so I don't know why it's saying it's locked. My guess is iOS 15 is keeping the iCloud info stored even upon reset, so the phone just assumes it's locked. Either way, I could set up the phone as usual. Now, all that's left to do is remove the plastic protective film from both the new display and back glass. And we're done. So this is it. A 64GB iPhone 11 that was once completely obliterated has been resurrected into a working phone. Surprisingly, everything works even after that massive impact, including the cameras and Face ID. I was concerned about the front camera as it looked like it had water or heat damage, but despite its looks, it works as it should. Of course, in typical Apple fashion, we get a battery and display warning, with the battery health being disabled for no reason other than the fact that the software has been programmed to reject replacement parts not installed by Apple, regardless if genuine. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffries video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the phone restoration playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.